Hi, I'm Adi. I'm working in the marketing team of Vectornator, and I'm also an illustrator. I really like to do comics, and that's my true real passion. So we'll do just an example from a comics I'm working on. This is a comic about an Egyptian goddess that I like. Her name is Ether, and I drew the outline for this on Procreate. So what we do now, we import the sketch from Procreate and we use AutoTrace. I just love AutoTrace because it saves so much work. I just click on the image and I need to set it up. Because it's just a black and white photo with no shade, we're gonna use the sketch. So you can experiment with it a bit. That's going to be the outline, that's going to be the top layer, and we're just going to color underneath it. So just create a new layer, drag it underneath, and we start coloring. Now we start with the background. I want to give it a bit of a dreamy feel, so I choose yellow and the yellow gradient. That's going to be the base color, and we're going to continue from there. I kind of not sure where to use the pen tool and when to use the pencil, but I choose to use mostly with pen tool because you have more control of it. I kind of switch between them, and you can choose whatever you see more comfortable to you. Now we're gonna color the background also with bright blue. So I'm adding it to the left panel. I don't like to use these old-fashioned black comic boxes, so I like to use the color as a border. I think it just looks more modern and it's a bit more special. You can just use the pencil on really high smoothing, and if it works for you better and you don't like the pen tool, that's also fine. After you add the skin, it just makes much more sense and it looks a bit more finished. So I'm gonna choose a color that makes her look a bit tan. She's Egyptian after all. And I'll start coloring. You can just go around it with a pen tool, and as I say, you can always go back and fix everything, so it doesn't have to be perfect. So now, just to save time, it makes so much sense just to do the left panel and right away the right panel. So I'm choosing what colors to do on the left one, and because the right one is just the same one from a different angle, so I just jump between them. So I'll do the jewelry as well, and I just tell you a bit about this story. So it's just the comics I work on for a while, so don't copy. And it's about Ether. She's an Egyptian goddess, She's one less familiar, but she's the goddess of love, and she also has a sun above her head. And I'm sorry if I butcher her name. I think it's Ether. And I just really like her. I'm also coming from the Middle East, and I think she's a representative of me. And I really feel for her because she's a bit sad because no one believes in her anymore, because everyone believes in like more modern kind of religious, and she's unemployed and bored. So that's what the story is about, but we're still working on it. Now we're going to do something a bit more exciting. We're going to do the shadowing. I really like to do shadows with Vectornator because it's super, super easy and it's fun and satisfying. So now all we need to do is to choose a bit darker color. So I do it even with a pencil tool. And we just do them above right leg and right arm, and just imagine that the light comes from around our back. So just take the multi-select and group them together, and then you can choose the actual skin, the place that we want to use as a mask, and just click in on the mask and poof. So even if it's not perfect, it's so easy to fix it. You can just double tap the mask and go to isolation mode. And then you can just grab the node tool and move the nodes around and fix it really easy. Now when we got the idea, you can just do it the same in the other side. It's even easier there because there are not so many details. Okay, now we're gonna color the bed in pink. I don't want to use a lot of colors, but I want to have more extreme shadowing and contrast. I do like it about comics, so I don't want to get too many details. I want to have flat coloring, but with extreme contrast. So we're gonna contour around the bed. Don't worry too much if it's not perfect. That's the style here, because comic is never perfect, and that's what makes it pretty. And also you can always go back after and fix everything up. And by the way, I know that the right panel above is a bit strange because it's not super finished yet. It's just the skits that I'm working on, but it's supposed to be our eyes when she opens her eyes. But yeah, just go with it. Now we're gonna do the same for the dress. Just notice that there are some parts that don't need even mask, or right sleeve is just dark blue, so click on it and make it dark blue. And you can take the same dark blue and do shape above the dress, pick them both, and same masking. So I really like comics since I read Ghost World when I was really young, and I liked how simple it is. And since then I got to draw a few comics myself, and I really love comics, and I love comics more than when they are like more personal and tell a personal story. They don't need to be perfect, and that's what everyone needs to remember, because the drawing is not as important as the story, and also the story kind of complements the image. So a lot of times the image, the visual would never be perfect, and the content that you give behind it, that's what make it finish, and that's what give it more depth. You probably noticed that there is no text here. Yeah, so I don't like to use text balloons. I don't like the classic comics, as I mentioned. I would just edit as part of the drawing itself, maybe on the bed or underneath her. I think it just look more beautiful if it's just part of the drawing and not strange to it. I really recommend to use handwriting because it just look more true and more belong than just use a font, but that's part of your creative decision. Yay, and this is it, we finished. It was really quick, right? It didn't take so long. Thank you, Autotrace. I hope you're happy and that you have something pretty that you did yourself. And thank you so much for listening to me and staying with me, and I hope you learned something. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye!